Hey everyone, it's Mike the Star Turtle. Today I'll be reviewing Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 9, The Dance of Dragons. And what a dance it was. Spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. And now you've been warned. Might as well get the worst out of the way first. Stannis. Ramsay and his 20 good men pretty much completely succeeded in their mission. I thought for sure they were at least going to try to assassinate Stannis, but they didn't even bother. They just burnt all the food supplies, the siege weapons, and a bunch of Stannis' horses. A whole bunch of vital stuff. Looks like a lot of men died too. I don't remember if we got an exact count. But yeah, so Stannis is left with nothing but men at this point, and they don't have much left. They're all kind of on the verge of deserting. And yep. So Stannis, out of options, he decides to sacrifice his own daughter by burning her alive. And yeah. I mean, he was like, he's been brought to his attention before, and he would have none of it. But once Melisandre brought it up, ultimately, he's her bitch. Like, he will do whatever the fuck she tells him to do. Especially since he's got his head wrapped around this whole prophecy of him being king and all that shit, so yeah. He sent Davos away, and Davos knew something bad was going to happen. And I was actually kind of surprised he didn't try to rescue Charisse, but I guess there's really nothing he could do. And honestly, I think he's, at this point, I think this is the final straw. I think he's going to be done with Stannis at this point, because I don't really see him being okay with this. But this is his final goodbye with Charisse. Even though she didn't know what was going on, but he knew something was going to happen. He was giving her that toy, that wooden toy. That was pretty heartbreaking. But yeah, so Stannis knew Davos would do something, so he got rid of him, sent him to the wall, and I think he's going to end up trying to go to the wall and stay in there, or at least, because I don't think Davos has anywhere else to go at this point. But yeah, so the way he talked to his daughter one last time, pretty much saying that he needed her help, and not without actually telling her specifically what he was going to do. And she says, "Yeah, I'll do anything for you." And then once she realizes what's going on, she's being led to that stake, and then she starts panicking, because who wouldn't be panicking at the idea of being burned alive, especially if you're a little kid? And she, oh, that was pretty bad. So she gets burned alive, and of all people, her mother is the one person who always hated her, who the very person who brought up the idea in the first place back last season. She's the one who can't go through it and tries to go save her, but Stannis' men restrain her. But I did love how even Stannis' men were like, "This is really kind of fucked up." And yeah, but so he burns her, his own daughter, and at this point, Stannis no longer has a soul. And even by looking at his face when it was over, like, even he realized, yeah, I no longer have a soul. Now we'll just have to see whether or not burning his daughter actually gives him a serious advantage or not over the Boltons. It may. It is true that what Melisandre does, the whole Lord of Light business, is entirely all bullshit. So we'll see what happens. But that was a pretty hard scene, and it was the actual burning part of it was pretty. They didn't go too far as far as showing and depicting how it, because, as graphic as HBO can get, even they have limits. But it was still a pretty brutal scene. Back to slightly more, maybe not positive, but more upbeat stuff. Just when Arya's about to assassinate her first target, or at least her first target for the Faceless Men, she sees Meryn Trant, who's still escorting Mace Tyrell to Braavos to try and get some more money from the Iron Bank. I actually thought for sure that when Cersei sent him sent Meryn with Mace, I thought for sure Meryn was gonna kill Mace. Then again, maybe he still intends to after he secures what they need, because Cersei was targeting the whole damn family at that point. And yeah, so Arya finally sees Meryn Trant again. She's doing reconnaissance. She pretty much abandoned her actual task, and she's reconning Meryn in the brothel. And Meryn, of course, only wants underage girls, which in all honesty, is that a medieval setting like that was way more accepted. And as sick as he is, you can't take away any blame from the brothel who was perfectly willing to let it happen too. So they're much to blame in that regard as well. And no, she just did recon, but hopefully she's gonna get a chance to kill him next episode. And her report back to Jacqueline Hagar, or whatever the hell his name is. I think Jacqueline, or he's probably not Jacqueline. He's probably just we don't know who the fuck he is. You don't even know if he's for sure even the real leader of the Faceless Men, or if he's just the guy there who's talking to her first. I don't know, but whoever he is, I think he knew she was lying, but he doesn't. But like he said before, it's all the same to the many-faced God. He seems to just want to see how this plays out, at least from what we can tell. Now, the wall. Not much went on the wall. John and I guess about 5,000 or so wildlings, free folk, whatever you want to call them, tops, which is more than I expected. But most of them, still only a quarter of them at best compared to what happened at Hardhome last episode. And it looked like for a second that Alistair wasn't going to let him in, but he ended up letting him in. I guess he's still loyal to the Lord Commander, who John still technically is. But most of his brothers at this point are pretty pissed at him for doing this. I really don't get what... John needs to really fucking assert himself. He's being too nice. He needs to give a speech to all his brothers saying, look, this is fucked up. I don't like this any more than you do, but we need only to fucking get the fuck over it and do what we need to do because winter is fucking here. Seriously, get the fuck over it. Instead of just kind of just being silent and letting them all stare at him with hatred in their eyes, which is what he's doing. He needs to fucking assert his command. He's not doing that. And even Alistair was obeying his command, but at least even he straight up said, look, John, you've got a big heart, but it's going to get us all killed. Which there is some truth to, and I suppose you could say, considering how everyone with hearts seems to get killed, get people killed. And John got a little pissed at him, but he didn't. He should have grabbed him by the shoulder and said, look, dude, when you see them, them, you'll fucking understand. He didn't even, he needs to assert himself. But it was amusing seeing the giant enter Castle Black and all the Watchmen, their reactions to that. And hopefully we'll see a little more of the giant next episode, but probably not too much because, CGI costs money. Let me just make sure I'm not covering anything else before we get to the big final scene. It was a little bit amusing. I forgot to mention, a little amusing to hear Mace and the I forgot his name of the guy, the manager in charge of the Iron Bank, just talking, debating about whether or not what's going to happen next, and even Mace singing, which is kind of pathetic. I still think Mace is going to die pretty soon. I don't really give a shit about him anyway, so who cares? Want to mention that little part. And now comes the moment we've all been waiting for: the Gladiator Games of Marine. So Danny was reluctant to do this, but she had to do it. Although she's still kind of being pretty pissed about it. I understand why she has an aversion to all this, but she needs to, again, when you're a ruler, you gotta fucking compromise. She still needs to learn that lesson, apparently. Though even Tyrion seemed to be partly on her side. I guess after everything he's seen, he's kind of he's got enough of all this bloodshed. But yeah, the whole four-way exchange between Dany, Tyrion, Daario, and Azar, whatever his name is, that was a pretty awesome conversation. As the whole fighting pits were opening and the games were beginning. I really liked it. I loved Azar's little speech and Tyrion's statement that, yeah, my father would have liked you. And then in comes Jorah. And yeah, I knew it. Despite everything that's happened between them, Dany still cares about him. She was hesitant to begin the fight when he showed up, and she really looked really distraught when he looked like he was about to die a couple times. And still, he won technically, but he still got his ass handed to him in that fight. He just kept. He was mostly the main reason he's still alive is because he's lucky. That was really the only reason. I kind of wish he'd done better. And then in come the Sons of the Harpy. And yeah, we knew this was coming. And it was a pretty awesome sequence. That whole gladiator fight was pretty fucking awesome. And the whole gladiator scene, this, yeah, people are complaining how things have been slow, and not much has happened. Yeah, it's because they've been saving their money and they spent it wisely. These last couple episodes have been pretty fucking badass, and the money is there. So yeah, hundreds of Sons of the Harpy just like start this whole huge terrorist attack on the whole arena. They try to kill Danny, they fail, but they still keep trying. And Jorah, despite the fact that he's been pretty banged up at this point, still does a pretty good job defending her. And even it appears, at least for now, their relationship is mended. Although she'll still probably never trust him like he did. But him, Dario, and Tyrion and Missandei and the few Unsullied that are still there, they all just form a circle in the middle of the arena. And I loved how the Harpies got them encircled, but they both just they don't go all out and attack them. They just take pot shots at each other. That was a pretty realistic scene. Them just trying to each get the upper hand, slowly trying to create a gap in the defenses. And the Unsullied still are not that impressive. I don't like. They're supposed to be one of the greatest fighters ever, and I guess maybe in open battle they're good, but in close quarters they still kind of. I mean, they're good. They hold their own, but they're still not as good as they're hyped up to be. I still want to see them in open battle, but James only got like 7,500 at best left out of the original 8,000. So hopefully we'll see a big battle before they all got wiped out by other means. But yeah, and then in comes Drogon. Yeah, I mean it looked like that was it looked like they were okay. I mean I think we knew nothing was gonna happen. Actually, no, I thought Jorah was. I'm still kind of surprised that Jorah is still alive, but he still might die in the next episode. But he's still alive at this moment. But yeah, in comes Drogo, and I love the scene right before he showed up where Dany and Missandei were both holding hands. Where that means there's actually going to be a lesbian relationship between them at some point that I've heard rumors about, or if that's just because they were just distraught and thought they were both about to die. I mean, I'm just reading too much. It could have been either way. But then Drogon comes in and breathes fire on a bunch of Sons of the Harpy, and he kills a bunch of people and he eats a bunch of people, and Dany decides to ride him out of the arena, and that was a pretty awesome scene. The only thing I didn't like about that scene was the brief green screen, especially when Dany's coming out of the arena while riding Drogo. That was the green screen on that particular shot was not that good, but afterwards it was still good. The money was really spent wisely in this whole scene. It wasn't quite as awesome, as epic, and not game changing, but as built up as the fight at Hardhome when we finally got to see the White Walkers. Like that ultimately that was a much more powerful scene, but this was still an awesome scene. And it was made even better the fact that Tyrion was there and he even got to save Missandei's life one time with getting kill one of the Harpies. That was pretty cool. I'm surprised he never actually straight up said yeah, what a wonderful life I live, sarcastically. That would have been funny, but I'm sure you're still probably thinking it. But yeah, that was an awesome fucking scene. This is definitely one of the best episodes of the series so far. Maybe not quite as good as the last episode, but still up there. And oh yeah, Dorne. I forgot to mention it because it's been kind of lackluster. I should have said this before, but the whole Dorne thing. The main reason that there's been so much in Dorne this season is because Oberyn had a lot of fanboys last season, including me. I'll be honest, I was one of them. And when he died like that, a lot of people were pretty distraught, including me. And they wanted to do service to the fans with this, but ultimately the best parts of this whole arc were Bronn and Jaime just traveling to Dorne in the beginning of that arc. That whole first fight scene, was the first fight scene of the season when Bronn was badass and Jaime finally found a use for his prosthetic arm. And after that, the whole storyline never topped that. I mean, they should have just hinted at what was going on. They should have just ended after that fight with Dorne and with Jaime and Bronn both arriving in Dorne. It would have been a hell of a cock tease, but at least they could have saved this stuff till next season, and we would have had more time to develop it. And the Sand Snakes were pretty underwhelming overall. They were the few scenes we got with them were pretty cool. But we got the whole slapping contest between the two of them. That was fun, but maybe too little, too late. I didn't hate the storyline as much as other people did, but it was definitely kind of anticlimactic. And now Ilaria has kind of made peace with Jaime. Though that scene where she confessed that incest really isn't that big a deal, or nothing is that big a deal in Dorne. They don't give a fuck about anything about that kind of stuff. But it appears as though, for now at least, there's going to be a truce, and Doran's son Trystane is going to be part of the small council. Though a lot of people are probably disappointed from the books that book fans are going to be disappointed that women aren't more central in Dorne, which is how it was like in the books. And like in the books, I believe one of Oberyn's daughters becomes a small council member, replaces his position. But maybe that might still happen. But right now, the Sand Snakes are all too mature. Maybe we'll see more of them next season. We'll see, and we'll see. But for now, lackluster conclusion. But at least it was nice to see cooler heads prevail, and they're gonna need to prevail because I'm sure some bigger shit's coming. So now it doesn't. I'm not sure if we're gonna see a big battle next scene between Roose and Roose and Stannis, because they spent so much money. I don't know how the hell they could have that much more money to spend on a big battle, but we'll see. And yeah. Also, Cersei's trial next episode. That'll be fun.